Welcome to the March 3rd meeting of the McKinleyville Community Services District. We're doing a teleconference via Zoom. And could I have the roll call, please?
Director Bender.
Present.
Director Clark-Peterson.
Present.
Director Couch.
Here.
Director Orsini.
Present.
And President Mayo.
Present. Thank you. Could I get Scott Bender, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Getting his flag. There you go. Thank you, Scott.
Fire. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Scott. Thank you all. Now we want to see if there's any additions to the agenda. And go ahead.
There is an addition to the agenda. Yesterday afternoon, we received an email from ACWA, the Association of California Water Agencies, asking if we would sign on to a support letter for Senate Bill 323. So I would like to add that to the agenda.
All right, thank you.
A question?
Yes.
Was there a staff report for that or staff note for that, or are we just going to?
I think Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Pat's going to give us the information on that. Okay. This is not a new thing, Greg, as you well know. It's the same.
Well, I read the email from Pat.
Yeah. No. I was just saying this for the public more than anything, is that we get these requests. We've talked about them. It's not a new thing for us, and Pat will give us the information on it. When where do we want to put that in the agenda?
So it'll go at the end of the excuse me, E's. So it'll be E7.
Who's going to remember that we have to do E7?
Yeah, I'm writing it down over here now.
Director Couch will remember.
No.
Okay, so thank you for that. We have no closed session meetings tonight. We have no public hearings tonight. And so now we're at C, public comment and written communication. And our board secretary is going to give us.
President Mayo, excuse me, sorry. We need to have a motion and a second.
Oh yeah, on the
and
agenda.
A vote for that.
Yeah, on the agenda.
I apologize.
Yeah, no, thank you. So can we have a motion on the agenda?
I did.
Yeah,
thank you.
We have Orsini and Couch.
Thank you. And we give us a roll call, please.
Director Bender?
Aye.
Director Clark-Peterson?
Aye.
Director Couch?
Aye.
Director Orsini?
Aye.
And President Mayo?
Yes, thank you. All right, so now we're at C, public comments and written communications, and these are open to the public, and for any item that or any topic that is germane to the district on our agendized items, we'll give you the time to address those at that time. And at this time, I'd like to have our board secretary give you the particulars on how this is going to work on Zoom.
Thank you. So we are using the Zoom webinar format. And so in order to give public comment, when the MCSD board president announces the agenda item, or now during public comment, and you wish to comment on it, please use the raise your hand feature that is present at the bottom of the screen. If you are on the phone, you will need to press *9 on your phone in order to raise your hand. When the president, or when it's time for public comment on that item and you wish to speak, you will be recognized by the board president and you will be allowed to unmute. Please note your unmute and video are disabled at this time throughout the meeting, and your audio only will be enabled once you are called upon. You will be able to unmute at that time. You will have 3 minutes to comment. And Mr. President, I would like to let you know that we do have 3 people in our attendees, and one of them is Supervisor Madrone.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Supervisor Madrone. Thank you for attending. And in that group, did we have anybody that wanted to comment on open public comment?
I do not see any hands at this time.
All right, thank you so much. So at this time, we're going to our consent calendar. These are items expected to be routine and non-controversial, to be acted upon by the board of directors at one time without discussion. If any board member, staff member, or interested person requests that an item be removed from the consent calendar, it shall be removed so that it may be acted upon separately. And at this time, I would like to actually remove item D9 and return it to us next month. There's some study items that I would like to familiarize myself with some more on this item. And and then is there anybody else that wants to have an item removed for discussion?
Yes, I would like to remove item D4. And if there's no other discussion, I will move the consent calendar, the existing consent, or the rest of the consent calendar.
Okay, there's been a motion to adopt D1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Really quick, Director Couch, your hand is raised. Did you need to say something?
Well, I was going to ask to pull D4, and Greg already did it. So
okay, I will lower your hand.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So Director Binder?
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson?
Aye.
Director Couch?
Aye.
Director Orsini?
Aye.
And President Mayo?
Yes, thank you. Moving back to item D4, approve the contract waiver relating to the executive representation of Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District by Mitchell Law Firm in connection with the contemplated Trinidad Rancheria water main line extension. And we have 2 attachments to that item. Did we want to have the GM say something about this first, or Pat, would you just prefer to have Greg and David express their views first?
If they have questions first, I'd be more than happy to let them take the lead on it, or I'd be more than happy to explain the item. I'll defer to Director Orsini.
Yeah, so I would, I think that it would be helpful if we just procedurally what the conflict waivers is kind of about. And I really don't have an issue with it, or I am strongly in favor of it, or would motion that we accept it or vote to accept it. I just thought it would be prudent for us to actually kind of just have a little bit of a rundown on it, why we're doing it, and what the ramifications of it are. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Orsini. Could I ask you to come a little closer to your mic? I was having a pretty hard time hearing you, so next time.
Oh, who, me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah,
thank you.
Let me. I am pretty close.
No. I heard. I just had to strain. That's all.
Yeah, I'll turn my microphone up.
Thank you so much. Director Couch, your comments on D4, please.
So I didn't have any problems with it, other than I was reading it was they were referring to having contact with our alternative lawyer for this affair, So I was just thinking, oh, the alternative lawyer, who is that? So that might be a future action, or, something we need to be sure we have an alternative lawyer.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this is pretty clear and direct in my studying of this issue, and so I support it completely. And at this point in time, if there's no more discussion, I'll open it to the public for discussion. And do we have any, April?
There are no hands.
All right, can I ask for a roll call vote?
I got a motion from Orsini, but I did not get the second. Was there a second?
Hey, I'm sorry, excuse me, President Mayo, were we gonna have Pat kind of give us a quick rundown on?
But that's certainly fine. I was happy just to go on, but I'm actually happy to have Pat give us a little detail of it. So
I will do a quick rundown. So this is with relationship to the potential extension of the water line from our system to Trinidad Rancheria, and us wheeling water through our system to the Rancheria, wheeling Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District's water through our system to the Rancheria. The Mitchell Law Firm, Russ Gans, is our legal counsel. The Mitchell Law Firm is also Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District's legal counsel. Ryan Plotz is their legal counsel. And the Mitchell Law Firm is, city legal counsel for a lot of cities, special districts in the area. They've been around for quite a while. And so they do this all the time. And occasionally there is potentially a conflict between two represented agencies. So they will do something like this to say, okay, well, if there ever is a conflict in relationship to this, we are going to represent, and in this case, they're saying they will like to represent Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District, who they're going to be doing all the heavy lifting on this. It would be most likely them that would have to utilize Mitchell. So they're asking us or telling us in advance, okay, we're going to represent Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District. If there is a direct conflict, MCSD, you're going to have to go out and identify additional legal counsel, which is what Director Couch was referring to. So they're asking us to sign on to this waiver as well. I guess I'll leave it to there.
there you go. Yeah, that's as I understand it as well too. So thank you. Can we continue with the roll call vote?
I need a second.
I'll
Did
second.
somebody? Thank you.
I'll second.
All right. Director Bender.
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson.
Aye.
Director Couch.
Aye.
Director Orsini.
Aye.
And President Mayo.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. Okay. Let's move on to E, continued in new business. E1, consider adoption of resolution 2021-05, recognizing, honoring, and commending Chris Reed for 10 years of service. Wow. And we have a resolution, attachment 1, resolution 2021-05. And is James going to present this, or?
He is.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. So these are our positive items, so I always look forward to these. Attached for the board of directors review is resolution 2105, recognizing, honoring, and commending Chris Reed for 10 years of service. Please join us in presenting Chris Reed with a resolution longevity award, acknowledging his continued outstanding contributions to McKinneyville Community Service District. The resolution 2021-05, resolution recognizing, honoring, and commending Chris Reed for serving McKinneyville Community Service District for 10 continuous years. Whereas Chris Reed, having faithfully served 10 years as an employee the McKinleyville Community Service District from 2011 to 2021. And whereas throughout his years of service, Chris has demonstrated unwavering loyalty and dedication. Whereas Chris lends his talents, experience, and leadership to the development and services of the district, having served in a variety of positions such as meter reading, reclamation disposal, and treatment plant maintenance. And whereas Chris has assisted in new service installations, leak repairs, paving, station maintenance, and training new seasonal employees. And whereas Chris has assisted in several programs such as the annual fire hydrant inspection and exercise, valve inspection and exercise, and manhole inspections. And now therefore be resolved that the Board of Directors of McKinleyville Community Service District hereby confers upon Chris Reed his highest commendation for the dedication and service he has performed for the district and the community, and further marks his historic accomplishment as a McKinleyville Community Service District employee for 10 years. And I will just roll into staff recommends that the board of directors participate in this presentation, air questions, take public comment, and adopt resolution 2021-05 honoring Chris Reed for 10 years of service at McKinleyville Community Service District. And I also I have a comment, but you want me to wait on that, or do you want me to give my comment now?
No, that's fine. You please make your comment.
Just roll with it. Just keep rolling.
Absolutely.
So Chris Reed, as it says, has been here for 10 years. He started as a maintenance worker, reading meters, doing the lock list, service orders, coming in contact with customers, some happy, some not, string trimming. And in 2019, he was promoted to the utility worker and is now taking care of the maintenance of the treatment plant, along with training the seasonal workers on irrigation and site clearing. Chris is doing an exceptional job. I'm proud to have him on the team. And I will leave it at that for anybody else.
Great. Thank you so much. And congratulations, Chris. I'm going to let the other board members say a word or two if they care to. And then if you would care to, I'm going to ask you to get on the spot and give us a little soliloquy. So Director Orsini.
Pardon me? I'm sorry, my internet connection started to go haywire.
Okay, well, would you like to make a comment on Chris's award?
Oh, I most certainly would. So hey, Chris, how's it going?
A little closer to the mic. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, Chris, thank you very much for your service to McKinleyville Community Services District. Part of actually history, I was on the interview board when Chris got hired. Chris came to us with a lot of wastewater experience. I believe he was pretty close to getting a lot of the certifications that were necessary through a program that was being run at Redwood Acres at
College of the Redwoods.
College of the Redwoods. Thank you. And Chris is a hardworking, very diligent, dedicated to McKinleyville Community Services District. He's always thinking about ways to improve how things are done, and not only that, but he's a decent person too. He's a really good guy. So congratulations, Chris. Thank you for your 10 years of service, and thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you. Director Couch?
Well, I just wanted to say congratulations on your 10 years. And I saw that you were a meter reader. So anybody who's been a meter reader deserves a lot of special thanks, because it's a pretty thankless job and quite crucial to the district. So thank you for that, and glad to see you moving up the ranks.
Yeah, thank you. Director Clark Peterson, would you care to say a word?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I got to meet you, Chris, when I took the tour a couple of weeks ago. It was cool to see you in action. And it looks like you're part of a great, strong team with high expectations and lots of support. So congratulations. I feel lucky to know that you're out there taking care of us. So congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. Director Bender, would you care to say a word or two?
Oh, certainly. Congratulations, Chris. This is an award that's well deserved, and I'm glad to have you on the on the crew, along with you and your amazing coworkers, keeping things going out there. And I very much appreciate your service. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you again. And next time you get another award.
There you go. Thank you, Director Bender. Yeah, Chris, amazing. It just has flown by, hasn't it, man? 10 years. 10 years is amazing. Thank you. I've enjoyed watching you and getting to know you. And thank you very much. Would any of the staff, Leslie or Colleen or James, care to say a word or two more? Or the GM? Who? Jump right in, Colleen. Looks like you're ready
I'm
to
going to
go.
jump in.
Okay.
So Chris doesn't have his camera on, but I'd be willing to bet he has a smile on his face, simply because Chris always has a smile on his face. And he is one of those people that it's a pleasure seeing around every day, because he's always seems like he's enjoying life. So thanks, Chris, for everything you do, and keep smiling.
Thank you, sir. All right, Colleen, I know you're flinching at the bit.
Hey, there he is. I was going to say, Chris, we haven't gotten to see much of you or anybody else with this COVID year, but everybody up front says hi, and we'll be glad when this is over and you can come back and give everybody grief and and all the good. That's awesome, dude. 10 years is a big deal.
Thank you, Colleen. Leslie, how about you?
I guess I'll say something nice about Chris. Congratulations, Chris. It's a admirable thing to stay at one job for 10 years. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. I do miss you coming into the office and stopping by my door and saying hi and telling me about your family and all of the things. So I'm looking forward to the pandemic being over, but congratulations. I'm glad you work for us.
Thank you. April, how about you?
I was going to say that I kind of miss seeing you coming by the office as well. And I look forward to when I can also be among the ranks just like you and be there 10 years. So congratulations, Chris.
It goes by pretty fast though, doesn't it, Chris? So Chris, let me open to the public and see if we have some public that would like to say something, and then we'll come back to you, okay? So at this time, if anybody in the public would care to make a comment, please do.
Yeah, I had one other thing that I wanted to say. One of Chris's duties was had him in the office before the COVID thing on a daily basis around quitting time. And he'd always roll through the office, and it was always nice to get a chance to say hi to Chris every day. And even at the end of the day, he would still be, his spirits would be very upbeat and positive. So, and as Pat said, yes, Chris 99% of the time had a smile on his face.
Okay, cool, thank you. Now, how about, did we have anybody in the public, April, that wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think Eric might want to say something.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I'll say something. Hey, congratulations, Chris. It's like I said, it's been a pleasure working with you for the last 10 years, and hope to have at least another 5 more before I retire. You're doing really well with everything you've been assigned to do. I really appreciate your effort, and just keep it up, man. We really enjoy having you on the crew.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, one more thing before you bail, Chris. Yeah, I want one of them trolley doors in my house. How much will it cost me?
But we'll have to talk about that later, because I was going to hit him up first. So I've got seniority.
Hey, thank you all for all the praises and nice things to say. And here's to another 10 years. The door is expensive. You
might want to reevaluate that. you know, I don't know whether you watch national politics or not, but, you know, sometimes a little grease in the wheels, pretty good deal.
Well, thank
Lordy.
you all for the
Yeah,
award and
yeah. That,
it was a
and
pleasure. It's
Chris,
been a pleasure being at the McKinleyville Community Services District.
yeah, quite frankly, Chris, you know, you're appreciated.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Good on you.
Thank you all. I'll see you around, I'm sure.
All right. Moving right along. Item E2, consider adoption of resolution 2021 dash. Oh, did we need to, resolution this and do a vote, you guys?
Yeah, I'll move on the resolution.
Thank you.
Recommendation.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right. Let's
Roll
have
call?
a roll call vote.
All right, Director Bender,
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson,
Aye.
Director Couch,
Aye.
Director Orsini,
Aye.
and President Mayo.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. And now to E2, consider adoption of resolution 2021-06, adoption of the district's section of the Humboldt Operational Area Hazard Mitigation Plan. There's an attachment on resolution 2021-06. And let's see, there's one attachment, two attachments, three attachments to that. And that starts on page 201 on the packet, if anybody is needing to look at that. And Pat, are you making this presentation?
Yep, it's me. And rather than reading through the staff note, I am just going to jump to the chase on this one. So MCSD is a member of the Humboldt County Area Operational Hazard Mitigation Plan. This was started back in 2006, was the first Humboldt County Operational Area Plan, and it has to be updated every 5 years. The last one expired in 2019, and so they updated it. We added our annex to the plan. However, we need to pass a resolution adopting the plan every time it gets updated. And that slipped through the cracks, I think, when Greg and I were doing the handoff. So we need to adopt the plan and our annex of the plan. So we can continue with the hazard mitigation grant that we got for the 4.5 million gallon tank, as well as the sewer crossings. And we've just turned in 2 new hazard mitigation grant applications. So we do need to adopt this resolution and send it into Cal OES saying we have adopted the plan so we can continue to get the grants. So staff recommends that the board review the information provided, discuss, take public comment, and adopt resolution 2021-06, adopting the relevant sections of the Humboldt County Operational Area Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or conversation on this item, please? Okay, seeing none, is there any comments or questions from the public?
No hands are raised.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion.
I would move that we adopt resolution 2021-06, adopting the
you.
relevant portions of, okay.
Thank you. That's it. Do we have
I'll
a
second it.
All right, it's been
Right.
moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote?
Director Bender,
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson,
Aye.
Director Couch,
Yes.
Director Orsini,
Aye.
and President Mayo.
Yes, thank you so much. Moving on to E3. This is our first reading of our ordinance 2021-04, adding our regulation 68 of the latent powers to Article 6 miscellaneous of the MCSD rules and regulations. We have attachment 2021-04 on page 255 for your consideration. And I imagine that's General Manager as well.
It is.
Thank you.
This one I think I am. I'm going to read through the staff note. Excuse me. At the October 7th, 2020 board meeting, Director Corbett presented a memo outlining his recommendations with regards to clarifying certain aspects of the district's authority. Director Corbett's memo recommended that a committee be established to review and clarify the district's authority or latent powers with respect to the following areas: 1, library; 2, law enforcement; 3, community forest; 4, reclamation; 5, homeless; and 6, support of the McKinleyville Municipal Advisory Committee, or the MCMAC. Past board president Burke established latent powers committee at the October 7th, 2020 board meeting, and current board president Mayo reestablished the committee with current members at the December 9th, 2020 board meeting. The committee has had several meetings to discuss and research the various latent powers outlined above and discuss this issue with local agency formation commission, or LAFCO, staff. At the February 3rd, 2021 board meeting, the Latent Powers Committee presented the Latent Powers Committee report on the powers listed above. The board approved the committee's recommendations presented in the report in their entirety. These recommendations will be coming back to the board as policies, ordinances, and rules and regulations as district staff and the committee is able to prepare them. In order to facilitate the organization and tracking of these various latent powers, the committee recommends the establishment of Regulation 68, or latent powers, in the district's rules and regulations. Ordinance 2021-04, which is included as an attachment to your board packets, establishes Regulation 68 latent powers under Article 6 miscellaneous of the district's rules and regulations. Additionally, it establishes Rule 68.01, the introduction, Rule 68.02, exercising latent powers, which serves as background information on the district's current latent powers and the process for adopting additional latent powers. And it also adds Rule 68.03, services for those experience homelessness, which outlines the policy presented in the report, recognizing the impact of homelessness has, reiterating that the district has no legal authority to be able to provide direct assistance to the homeless, and details that the district can facilitate third parties to provide these services through the rental of district's facilities or properties. So with that, staff recommends that the board review the provided material, discuss, take public comment, and approve the first reading of ordinance number 2021-04, adding in Regulation 68 latent powers to Article 6 miscellaneous of the MCSD's rules and regulations, excuse me, and adopting Rule 68.01 introduction, Rule 68.02 exercising latent powers, and Rule 68.03 services for those experiencing homelessness by title only.
Yes, thank you. I want to reiterate that this is first reading. And so if we have some comments, and then we'll discuss a motion after our comments. Not seeing any. Do we have any public comments?
There are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, I'd entertain someone to make a recommendation to approve staff recommendations by title only.
So moved.
Moved, and do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Let's have a roll call, please.
Director Bender,
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson,
Aye.
Director Couch,
Yes.
Director Orsini,
Aye.
and President Mayo.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. Moving on to item E4, consider attendance at the California Special Districts Association, CSDA. The Special Districts Virtual Legislative Days are May 18 and 19. and their attachment 1-2021. And who is making this presentation? Is that you, April?
That would be me.
Thank you so much.
To gain the edge on policy changes impacting MCSD and exchange ideas with California's top decision makers, CSDA puts on an annual Legislative Days event that this year is going to be virtual. CSDA 2021 Special Districts Virtual Legislative Days is an interactive and informative legislative discussion and briefings held virtually, allowing attendees to have access to this information without travel or hotel costs. So day one will consist of 3 on-demand policy expert webinars, and day 2 will consist of a live legislative briefing that will be made available on demand for a limited time after the event. In order to access that live or that recorded live event afterwards, you still have to have a registration. So staff fiscal analysis is that it will cost $175 per person for the early bird registration. So within the next month and a half, if people want to do it. And staff recommends that the board review the information provided for the 2021 California Special Districts Association Special District Virtual Legislative Days, take public comment, and consider authorization for interested board members to attend.
Thank you so much. Just informational to our new board members. This is something that we do regularly, and it's important in our legislative processes. Director Orsini was the recent past president of California Special Districts Association and has been our representative there directly and providing great results for us. So I just I'm pretty sure that Director Orsini is going to want to participate, and I would suggest that those of you that want to further learn about it and participate would consider doing it. I will not, because I'll be coming back next month, I believe, with a similar thing for California Association of Water Agencies. And so we'll just kind of split things up that way. So at this point, if there's any discussion from the board members.
I was going to say, I've gone to it when it was a physical thing in Sacramento, and it was really good. So I would recommend new members doing this if you want to spend the time, because they are really good seminars. And of course, you don't get to go in and have a speech in the Capitol. That was the highlight of the thing. So,
yeah.
So the Zoom won't be as good as that, but it's a lot cheaper.
Right. Yeah, very good. Are there any questions from Director Clark Peterson or Director Bender about this or participating?
So what they're all, no, day 2 is live, but day 1 is on demand. So that means I'm just thinking about my work schedule and,
right.
So
let me just give a point of clarification here. What we're doing right now is approving this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If you want to participate, there's a short window. You can talk about it with our board secretary or the GM for those particulars, that whether it fits into your schedule or not. There's no obligation whatsoever, but those particulars about when we were able to do this, and will again go physically, we had to go through this process so that a kind of bookkeeping, if you will, so that we block out the auto if we need to travel, or our airfare if we needed it, and that type of stuff. So anyway, did that help at all?
Yeah.
I'm really confused.
I'm not confused. I think it looks great. I went onto the CSDA website and read up a little bit more about what goes on and what to expect, and I want to participate. Right. I'm excited to hear Alex Padilla.
Right. And hopefully next year, Director Bender will be back live, and like Director Couch said, it's pretty good stuff. So,
Yeah,
all right.
it's great to get to walk the halls of the Capitol and get to talk to our legislators in person.
And you just not everybody, but I know Greg does, and I know I do. I go with agendas. They're specific agendas that I have, and things that I want to see get accomplished. And yet, every time, and I think Director Couch will verify this, you learn stuff that you didn't even wasn't on your radar at all, and it's a very amazing learning curve always. So, can we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Per staff. Okay. And how about a second then?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Actually, before roll call, can I ask for a clarification?
Yes,
so
sir.
Bender is interested. Director Orsini, were you interested?
Let me go online and look and see, because there's no time for the Tuesday for the live briefing. I had a note to go on and look at that when I reviewed my board packet, and I completely spaced it out. So let me go ahead and put me down for going, and if I have to back out because I can't make the live briefing, I'll let April know.
I guess I would, ask Dr. Clark-Peterson, is that okay with you too? We put you down that you're positive, and if you can look at your schedule, and if you can't make it, then just let us know.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks, you.
And I guess another point of clarification is that even if you can't go to the live event, if you have a registration, the live event will be recorded, and so you can listen to it later.
Yeah. All right.
So there is that as well.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see that it will be made available on demand.
Yeah.
Very good.
But it will only be made available to those who are registered for a short amount of time afterwards. So.
All righty. Let's have a roll call vote.
Okay. Director Bender?
Aye.
Director Clark-Peterson?
Aye.
Director Couch?
Aye.
Director Orsini?
Aye.
And President Mayo?
Yes, thank you. Moving on to E5. Consider adoption of resolution 2021-08, nominating Gregory Orsini to the California Special Districts Association Board of Directors seat from the Northern Network. I think we were just talking about this. And so there's a process we go through. The agency Greg, Aqua's every 2 years. Are you guys every 2 years?
No, they're 3-year terms.
3 years, okay. And so this is a process. It doesn't matter whether you're a sitting member or not. You have to rerun. People in the that are members throughout the whole state are going to vote on you. And so I am very pleased to see that Greg is wanting to continue in this. Like I say, he knows about as much about the structure and getting stuff done at CSDA as almost anybody. So do we want to have a little more presentation on that, or is that enough?
Yeah, can I take it from here for just a second, Dennis?
You certainly can.
So the structure of the board of directors for CSDA is there's 18 seats on the board, and they're divided by networks. There's the Northern Network, the Sierra Network, the Bay Area Network, the Coastal Network, which is Monterey, St. Lucie Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. And then there's the Central Network, which is everything east of that. And then there's the Southern Network, which is Los Angeles, Orange, San Bernardino, Riverside, San Diego, and Imperial Valley, and Imperial County. And there's 3 seats on for each one of those networks. there's seat A, seat B, and seat C. Well, coincidentally, that the seat that I held as the general manager is the one that's up right now. So there was somebody appointed to that seat who's been serving on that seat for since I retired, and now that seat will be up for actual to be voted on in the next couple of months. And I would much appreciate the support of my board, our board, in passing this resolution. That's the first step in me moving forward and filling out my application and my letter of interest for being on the ballot.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Any other comments? Questions?
No, except I'm so glad you want to continue to do this, Greg. It's great. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
I love those 5-hour drives to Sacramento.
Yeah,
I heartily support it, but Greg, are you gonna ride your motorcycle down there?
You know what? When the stars line up right, I do ride down every chance I get.
Okay.
Usually not in the wintertime, but yeah, I do.
very good. All right, guys, any comment from the public on this item? Seeing none, let me ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion and we support Greg Orsini to run for the board of the CSDA.
Thank you. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call, please.
Director Bender,
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson,
Aye.
Director Couch,
Aye.
Director Orsini,
Aye.
and President Mayo.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item E6. This is an informational item. It's an important item, but it will be in front of us more times. But this is informational at this time, and we're going to review information for the draft capital improvement plan for the operational funds. That's water, wastewater, streetlights. And I believe that'll be our general manager, or is that you, Colleen?
That would be me.
Oh, thank you so much. If you would
Hi.
please give us an update on this.
Sure. Yeah, this is yeah, so this is just the draft. Right now, this is the detail lines of the various capital improvement projects that we expect to do for the next fiscal year. It does extend out for 10 years so that the board can see, where things are going from here. But the actual, when we enact the budget, of course, it's only going to be for the next fiscal year. And then we review the CIP every single year as we create the budget, and we make adjustments as we go. The other thing that's going to be different when you see the final budget is that the detail lines will be compressed, and you'll only see the summary lines because the final budget is a very large document. And that way, when we it provides us a little bit of flexion, not much, but a little, during the year if we need to do a project that's not, that went over a little, or a project that's under. But it's the same. I mean, it'll be the information, or whatever information you guys, any comments, suggestions, whatever. This is now's the time. So the narrative provides more detail. For the new board members, this is very similar from one year to the next, at least in its structure. But it's we discuss each particular project. So if you have any questions on the specific project, ask away. Most of these I'll refer to either Pat or James for detail on the projects themselves, but all the questions are welcome.
Thank you, Colleen. There's, I'm sure there'll be a question or two. I have a question or two. Well, actually one on one particular project, but I'll wait and then perhaps somebody, one of the other directors will bring it up. Before I do that, could I ask our general manager if he'd care to make any additional comments?
No, I know Director Orsini does have some questions as well, and I guess I'll let him lead into those questions.
All right, very good. Before we do that, Greg, are there any questions from Director Couch, Director Bender, Director Clark Peterson? Just so that I know. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just so that I know. Kind of having a little bit of an idea on the questions from Director Orsini. It'd be my preference to let Director Clark Peterson ask her question first.
Okay, thank you. Yep, mine is a basic question just about labeling. Under the sewer system, the yellow on in the margin there, what is that? I think you're muted. Do you know that, Colleen?
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
Did you hear my question?
Okay, yes, I
Okay,
heard your
yeah.
question.
Okay.
Your question is about the little yellow tags over here.
Yeah.
And what you'll see is, at least on a couple of these, let's see here. Okay, one of them has, one of them is the sewer lift station upgrades B Street. That has a purple or a slightly different cell color that indicates that hopefully is going to be grant funded. If it is not going to be grant funded, I made a little tag over here that we may need to put aside money in the repair and replacement fund, the reserve, based on the board's reserve policy. We may need to put aside money either to do a grant match or to actually fund the project. I don't have all of those tagged, but some of them are. The lift station pumps and generator replacements, you'll see those as a certain dollar amount that goes out over multiple years. So that's the reserve and the repair and replacement reserve, which is now basically as structured in the new reserve policy. It's a sort of a sinking fund where we can put money aside for specific projects that probably aren't going to have grant funding, but are necessary to be done. So, and there's,
Okay.
I mean, there's multiple ways to do that, but mostly these, I probably should have blanked those out or moved the yellow color coding out there, but
so that's true.
That's
Then
just
the Fisher lift station upgrade. So out of all these, just those three.
well, those are three of the ones in there. I don't I
Okay.
can check on the straight Excel's worksheet. Sometimes there's a note that goes with those and I can look for the note, but yeah, usually when I color code something, it's something specific like that. Like something should be grant funded, or we may have to put money in the reserve or something like that.
All right. Thank you.
Is that helpful?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And my issue was exactly the same one that Director Orsini is going to bring up. So I'll let Director Orsini make his comments, ask his questions on that.
Okay. Do I go now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, of course, with my experience with working with this for so many years and being responsible for it, I kind of know why things are there, but under the heavy equipment, I see that over the next couple of years, we're going to be spending $150,000 one year and $380,000 the next year on heavy equipment, backhoes, excavators, bobcats and such, and in the narrative, if that it doesn't speak to any of those things, I would recommend that we provide a little bit more detail in the narrative as to those significant over $500,000 worth of expenses.
Yeah, there you, yeah, thank you. And for the rest of I know Director Couch, you know, but everybody, this is an informational, and so this is where we want to ask questions, look at things that we think are potential issues or not, and then we work them out, staff and the general manager. So that's where we're at with this at this point.
Yeah, and so are we ready to move on to my next questions?
It's your nickel, partner. I thought you were done.
Oh no, I've got a few more. So anyway, and then so when we move
Hey, Greg.
yes,
Greg,
yes.
if I'm happy to have as many as you want, but when you turn your head away, we cannot hear a damn word you're saying.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my microphone because I'm less than an arm length away from my microphone.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I don't want to mess with it now because I might shut it off and then you would never be able to hear me, and that would be a bummer. So anyway, so moving down through the
try adjusting that, why don't you?
Moving down through the list. Can you hear me now? There's
Huh?
under the water system, we have a $300,000 per year over a 10-year period of time, and then a little bit below that we have $106,000 for the next fiscal year, and then $100,000 moving on out. One of them's for the Mad River undercrossing, and the other one's for replacement of tanks. We don't speak to that in the narrative. And I've talked to Pat and I understand what that's for, and basically, so my question is for Colleen is that so we're going to start basically encumbering $300,000 a year, or designating in our reserves $300,000 a year over the next few years for the water undercrossing, and then $100,000 a year over the next 10 years for the tank 3 replacement. Now, how is that going to be handled related to how those monies are designated or encumbered?
Can I ask a secondary question to that as you answer, and Pat, for you? For me, it seems like this is a part of the decision-making process that we go through, whether to spend our own money or to borrow. And so that's part of my thought process in this. Is that a question that is answerable in what Greg asked, or?
Sure. Well, as long as, and this, I mean, this is absolutely an ongoing discussion. And we're also looking at things, again, spread out over a long time horizon. And one of the benefits of doing this, of coming back to this process every year, is that we get to revise things as we go, given changing conditions. Because right now, if we were doing the project tomorrow, it would make much more sense to borrow, because interest rates are really, really low.
Where are we at still? A 1.5% or 1.75%?
Something like that, right? 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we don't know. And so there's so we can set money aside. We can, in the hope that, or well, in the expectation that interest rates are at some point going to go up, because we're going to have a more inflationary pressures in the economy, where we've got too much liquidity, too much money chasing too few goods. I mean, that's the condition of inflation. So given the amount of money that's being pumped into the economy, that's certainly a potential. I don't think it's going to manifest for a couple of years at least, if it goes that way. But I think we will see the Fed bringing interest rates up at some point before we're ready to do that project. But again, this is something that we can revisit every year and have a conversation about what's, what, given current market conditions, what's the best option here. And if at the board's discretion, because these are board designated reserves, at the board's discretion, if we have a pot of money that's set aside for a specific thing, and we find that it's a better strategy for the district as a whole, for the fiscal health of the district as a whole, to go with borrowing to fund a particular project, then the board can also designate that the funds that do exist be used to partly offset the cost of borrowing or be used on a different set of projects.
Yeah, that was my question right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's part of what the board gets to weigh in on.
So I just want to be sure, Colleen, I just want to be sure that that money isn't encumbered in a way that can't be used.
Right. No.
Yeah.
No. These are board designated. So on one hand, yes, it's a board designated reserve. But when the board acts, the board can also act again. So there is some flexibility there, at least within the parameters of the reserve overall, which is to say repair and replacement of the equipment. But we're not under a legal constraint. It's not like Measure B or some of the loan reserves where you're only allowed to spend it on one very, very specific thing. It's not like the Quimby funds. So that should help some too.
Okay.
Can I chime in?
Absolutely.
So both the emergency water supply Mad River Crossing and the McCluskey Tank 3 replacement, those are both the hazard mitigation grant applications that we are turning in. One of them has gone in already. The other one's going to go in by Friday. So both of those come with matching if we get the grant. The water crossing is a $3 million project. So we're going to have about a $750,000 match. The McCluskey tanks is $1 million project, so we're going to have $250,000 match. So the money that is being set aside in this budget year and next fiscal year, so the 2022 and 2023 fiscal years, is going to be our match. And so if we get the grant, that money will be set aside and we'll be ready to go. Then, if we don't get the grant, Colleen is absolutely right. In 2024, we're going to be coming back to the board and say, okay, well, we didn't get the grant. These are projects that still need to happen. Do we keep waiting and hoping that we're going to get a grant? Or do we plan on setting aside money? We can see what interest rates are doing then. Or should we just plan on borrowing when we need to do these projects?
Right. So the money, this money that we're having in reserves, how is it growing, and how much is it growing if it's there and we haven't used it?
Okay, it would be a designated reserve in CalTrust, so it would be added to the. Right now, that's our major pool of reserve funding right now is in CalTrust. So we would probably add it to the major reserve funding pool, but it would have this schedule, right? Showing, okay, there's a total in that pool of this dollar amount, and it spreads out into these projects. And but yeah, even with a designated reserve, it's not I don't do slush funds. It's too messy and too hard to keep track of.
Yeah, no, I was
with
just
a designated reserve. I like to have it as a separate line item, and it'll show up in the general ledger, and we'll be able to tag it out to the schedule of these numbers of projects and these specific amounts per year.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. I've just curious if we're going to get any interest on that money while it's, and what that interest would be. Roughly, you don't have, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just, are we getting 1 3/4? Are we getting 0.75%, or?
Not entirely. Actually, on the in the treasurer's report, that very first page, or right after the table of contents, the one that shows cash flow, it shows you the total dollar amount that we have in CalTrust and how much we're earning on that in interest and or dividends, and that's per month. And this is the other one that's actually more important, I think, the unrealized gain or loss. So we need to keep track of that as well. And we
Gotcha.
post that and include it in the value. So
Yeah.
so even if something is earning interest, and that's great, if we just if the overall investment is running at a loss for a given month, we have to show that.
Right.
So we can time the market a little better with that information. But yeah, so that's, I mean, we have about $10 million in CalTrust right now, and we're not earning a huge amount of interest on that.
Right,
It's like
right.
this big,
Right.
but we are earning something. And the thing is, it's the investment itself is appreciating. So when we pull money out of that, we actually gain some of that unrealized gain becomes a realized gain.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you for the explanation.
Okay.
Director Orsini, would you have another
Yeah, it's
comment? Or, yeah.
Yeah, it's along the same line. So, so as looking at our CIP, so how do we what's the word I'm looking for? So our PAYGO is, we have a PAYGO limit of 500,000 or package of group of things of $1 million or less.
Per year, yeah.
So how do we justify paying $3 million for a project with our reserve policy and our PAYGO policy the way it stands now?
Okay, I'm not seeing a conflict with those policies because both of them are actually in, they're separate things. The repair and replacement reserve is designed in the current policy to be a sinking fund for larger projects. And that's different from a single project or a set of projects across multiple funds that don't exceed $1 million a year. They were just done as separate things.
So a capital outlay of $3 million wouldn't be part of the PAYGO?
Well, it would be a project that we execute from the sinking fund, like we do like we're supposed to do the sludge removal.
Yeah, but that's more of a maintenance project. That's not a capital outlay.
Fair point. I don't think that was clarified as the repair and replacement wasn't strictly designated for maintenance projects versus actual replacement projects or capital replacement projects, although that's implied in the title.
Yeah, so that would be
Okay.
my only question is do we need to go back and review the policy, our PAYGO policy, and update it? And because and this is just my opinion, is that I think that that if we're going to start putting away money for these significant capital outlay projects, that we're running afoul of our PAYGO policy.
The PAYGO policy itself, yeah, we can certainly bring it back to the board and take a look at it. But the PAYGO policy itself is designating the reserve in the working capital, is what we hold in working capital. So it's more about where we're putting the money and how we hold it and how we use it, rather than the specific projects we're funding off of it. But yeah, I can work on that and see if I can come up with some clarifications that are acceptable to the board.
Well, yeah, and I don't have the authority to send you back to do work, but I would just like staff to review it and see if in fact there is a conflict between our PAYGO policy and a change or in a decision to start funding large capital outlays for capital projects that can be depreciated over many years to start paying for those with cash or reserves.
Any other subject, Greg?
No, that's the rest of it's all fairly straightforward.
Okay, so thank you for bringing those things up, and I was had some questions on the PAYGO, and so it's a good conversation, and I'm sure that we've presented the general manager and staff with enough comments of stuff to have them think about those things and see if there's something we need to talk about further or not. So if there's no objections, I'm going to see if the public has a comment they'd like to make on this item.
There's no hands from the public, but I do see Director Bender has his hand up.
I've been waiting patiently. Well, this is going to be kind of a simple question, but I'd like to know more about the $10,000 for the furnace at the Fisher House. Is this an initial installation?
I think Operations Director Henry should handle
I was
it.
just going to ask if you wanted me to answer that. So the Fisher, don't confuse the Pulorski house and the Fisher house are two different houses. So the one at the Fisher house is electric and it runs about $800 a month during the wintertime to heat that house. And so we had budgeted a couple of years ago to get quotes and get an LP tank put out there because there's no gas. The gas doesn't come all the way to the house. Put an LP tank and get a furnace for that to bring down the cost for the heat. And the project didn't go through. It just didn't happen. And then so we put it back on to try it this year.
Okay, so I understand that now, and that's why it's $10,000. That makes a little bit more sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Director Bender. Anything else, sir?
Not for me.
All right. Well, if there are no objections, I'm going to say thank you to everybody for the presentation, and we will revisit this at a later date, I'm sure.
Will do,
Okay,
for sure.
we are now moving on to E7. That was the addition that we put on at the beginning of the meeting. A letter of support for Aqua, and
you know what then, excuse me, President Mayo, can I interrupt for just a second?
sure.
So and I don't, you know what, forgive me.
Man,
But the street lights, there's no table for the street light CIP. Does that go with the Parks and Rec?
Oh,
No, I think it got.
no, it doesn't go with the parks and it does not go with the Parks and Rec. It was actually left out. That was entirely my fault. So I will include it. I mean, obviously it'll need to be included in the final draft, but at the board's pleasure, I can bring it back next month as an item.
It's mentioned in the discussion, 40,000 to set aside for a pole inspection.
Yeah.
I think the narrative covers it. I don't, unless any of the other board members has an issue, I think we're fine on just bringing it back with the budget.
Okay.
Now to ask that, I'm sorry, Colleen, I would ask that question when I talked to Pat. I don't know why I just caught it now.
No, I'm glad somebody caught it because obviously I didn't. Yeah, that's my bad.
So help me, guys, I lost my train of thought.
Greg's done asking questions, so.
Yeah, I'm done.
All right.
Is
All
the
right.
meeting over with yet?
Say one more time.
Is the meeting over with yet?
Pretty close. Pretty close. For you, it is. All you got to do is fiddle with your controls there and you'll be out. All right, now we're moving on to reports.
Oh, wait.
What?
You forgot E7 again. You started it.
Oh, okay. So are you,
E7.
is somebody gonna make a motion?
For what?
E7.
E7's that one we're adding about Aqua. We need to have a we need a staff note on that.
Okay, I thought you were talking about it. Okay. Would you care to give us a quick staff update on that, Pat?
Sure. I'm going to read the first part of the letter that Aqua is requesting us to sign on to for Senate Bill 323, Caballero, Water and Sewer Agencies Statute of Limitations. The Association of California Water Agencies, Aqua, and undersigned organizations right to express our strong support for SB 323, which would provide public agency water and sewer service rates the same protection already afforded to fees and charges that fund other essential government services. This bill would authorize a local agency or interested person to bring a validation action in a superior court to determine the validity of a fee or charge for water and sewer service. It would also require an interested party bringing a validation action within 120 days after the fee or charge becomes effective. Reliable long-term financial planning is paramount in providing essential government services like water and sewer. Public water and sewer utility budgets are largely funded by revenue collected through service rates. These rates provide the funding necessary to supply safe drinking water, upgrade and improve aging infrastructure, and operate effectively. While public water and sewer service providers require financial stability to meet these demands, existing law does not prevent lawsuits that seek refunds or seek to invalidate existing rate structure years after rates have been adopted and collected. California state legislature has recognized the need to minimize fiscal uncertainty for public agencies providing essential government services by creating statutes of limitation for legal challenges to certain fees and charges, such as municipal electrical rates and connection and capacity fees assessed by water and sewer agencies. However, existing law offers a piecemeal statutory landscape where the statutes of limitations are afforded to fees and charges that fund some essential government services but not others. SB 323 would close this gap in existing law by allowing customers to bring legal challenges to water and sewer rates within a reasonable but limited period of time. By following precedent established in existing law, this bill strikes a balance between the interests of ratepayers and the need for public agencies to maintain reliable sources of revenue. So that is what they're asking us to sign on to. There have been recent cases where rates have been established through Prop 218 process, and then years later, people are coming back and suing and saying that the rates aren't reasonable, which is a huge burden on those folks. So this bill would set up the 120-day statute of limitations.
Right, and especially with all of the loss of revenue, all the turmoil we've had for, well, it's going to be 2 years pretty soon in our industry with this pandemic situation as well. So, Pat, give us the bill number one more time. I don't have my telephone turned on.
SB 323.
Yes, 323.
And who's the author of that, Pat?
What's her first name? Senator Caballero.
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 Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you for bringing it to us. It eliminates my comments later, which I was going to bring it up. So now we're miles ahead of that. Any other comments from the board?
Yeah, I've got a comment, of course.
Please.
So I think that this is a very good, important piece of legislation So anybody who's knowledgeable about the Proposition 218 process knows that there's a level that a vote that either a vote in protest or a vote in acceptance of a piece of water rate studies. What's happened is that a few years back, somebody figured out, and it's not part of case law, that they could protest. And I used to know what the process was called, what the legal process was called, and I don't for the life of me remember what it is right now off the top of my head. But it was much easier for people instead of organizing the community and getting enough people to either protest it or not vote in favor of it. They could overturn a rate increase. But what they found was easier was just keeping their mouths shut during the process and then suing the public agency after the fact, using some sort of legal option that's available, and they could basically shut down the rate increase while they were arguing the legality of it in court. And what this basically does is limits that so that can't happen after whatever it is, 150 days. So I think it's very useful and very important that we support this.
Thank you. I agree. Any other comments?
The only comment that I have is that I think it's 120 days, and I think that's pretty darn generous.
Yeah, 120. Yeah, you're right. It is 120.
Thank you. Hey, Scott, do me a favor. The way you sit there, I have a hard time seeing your facial gestures. When you want to talk, stick your hand up there for me, and I'll jump right back to you. Okay? Over this. There you go. Yeah. All right, buddy. Thank you. Sorry I missed you comments last time.
Yeah, there's a yellow hand in the left-hand corner of his picture.
I can't see that.
Okay.
Give me a break. Is that a technical thing?
I don't know. Maybe you need glasses and a hearing aid, Dennis.
All right,
President. The next time I'll just stick my hand up in the air like
there you go.
Be
That's
real
right.
obnoxious like usual.
Thank you, brother. That helps me a lot. Any other comments? Seeing none, are there any comments from the public?
I do have a question.
It's not question time now, it's comment time.
Well, it's
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So Pat, what's your recommendation for this?
I recommend that we sign the letter.
Okay, so do we recommend that the board sign the letter or that the general manager sign the letter?
They're asking for agency support, so I think we would say the board.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think just having the GM sign it's fine. But it's
I agree. I would move that we authorize the general manager of McKinleyville Community Services District to sign the letter of support for this piece of legislation.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Second. We'll have a roll call, please.
Director Binder,
Aye.
Director Clark-Peterson,
Aye.
Director Couch,
Aye.
Director Orsini,
Aye.
and President Mann.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pat, for getting this to us. So now we're going to move on to reports, committee reports, active committee reports, Park and Recreation Committee, Binder, Clark-Peterson.
Scott, do you have a report for that?
Okay, well, the only report that I have more than likely will be discussed by Recreation Director Frisbee in a little bit, and I'm sure she'll do a much better talk than I would.
All right, very good. Area Fund.
Nothing.
Thank you. Redwood Region Economic Development Commission.
But yeah, there was something I wanted to mention to the board, and Pat might be able to say more because I think he's more well acquainted with it, but apparently there's a dioxin plume headed toward the Mad River and could pose a risk to the water supply. And so the REDEC board authorized the executive director of REDEC, Greg, to send a letter to the, let's see, what is it, the Department of Toxic Substances Control, to insist that they increase their budget to remediate this risk. And it was asked of all the other customers of Humboldt Bay Water to also sign and send a similar letter of support. So I thought perhaps we could consider this, and maybe Pat could say more about it.
Thank you.
You want me to say more about it? Okay. Yeah, so it is the old former McNamara and Peeps lumber mill, or Blue Lake Forest Products off Glendale Avenue. And it had a dip tank and a green chain on it. The contamination had been capped years ago, and then they stopped operating the site, and they stopped pumping water from the well, and groundwater levels came up, and it made the PCBs move, or PCP, TCP, excuse me, move. And so it has been something that Humboldt Bay has been working to get DTSC to come back in and monitor, etc. I guess I'll stop there.
Right. And for everybody's deal on this, it's something that's being watched, and we do, well, it's my hope that we all agree that this is something that we want to keep a close eye on. I don't think at this point in time there's any surety about the situation. But one thing, and this is just general, correct me, please, if anybody has anything different to say about this, as terrible as it is to have these type of potential toxics in our water, the drinking water that we draw from is around 100 feet deep. And so the likelihood of this infiltrating down to where we actually get it is slim, but it's not something to disregard at all. So I'm sure that the GM and is going to keep a close eye on this. And what was your desire on this, Pat? Are we going to want to draft our own support letter for this, or what?
Well, I think Director Clark Peterson was asking if the board wanted to add this to a future agenda, and to see if we wanted to write a letter of support, or just let Humboldt Bay is writing and submitting a letter to DTSC.
All right. This is your report, and you can actually request that right now, Director Clark Peterson, if you'd like, and
Okay.
we'll see that it gets on an agenda at an appropriate time.
Okay, sure. That was kind of the talk at the boards, that we would all go back to our boards and ask this. So I'll follow through on that. Yes, I'd like to do that.
And okay, Director Couch.
Well, I was going to say, I remember when capping the plume was kind of the solution, and so now it's not the total solution. So I support, being aware of it and trying to have something more positive happen than just the old cap in the past.
Right. Yes, Director Orsini.
Yeah, thank you. General Manager Kaspari, the Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District in the Muni Group, I would imagine are they going to send a letter of concern, or would we be covered through that, or is it something that we I'm just trying to get so that we're not double dipping here.
Well, it's my understanding that they wanted support just like we do from all agencies. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Humboldt Bay wants us to also write our own letter. Is that correct?
Yeah, Neil Latt brought it up at the REDEC. I think he was the one who had submitted the idea forward, and then it came through conversation. Oh, look, we have multiple customers here on the board right now. Maybe they could go back. So it was an invitation to lend support. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So if there's no objection, I'm going to ask the general manager to research that and bring it back to us at a later date as per his discretion. Okay. Thank you, Director Clark Peterson. So moving on to the McKinleyville Senior Center.
Nothing.
I imagine there was nothing there. How about the Audit Committee?
Do you want to go, Dave, or you want me to go?
I'll let you go first.
Okay, so the Audit Committee, I guess, met as the Executive Search Committee for the our fine and diligent finance director has given her notice, a lengthily, very well timed out far enough so that we have time to replace her because it's going to be very difficult. And so we met. Director Couch and I met as the Audit Committee / Executive Search Committee to talk about timeline and considering whether or not we wanted to keep the executive search in-house or whether we wanted to hire a headhunting firm. And so we've had one meeting so far, and staff is developing a schedule, and the takeaway from the first meeting was that that staff is highly motivated to do the search internally.
Very good. Director Couch?
Nope, that was it.
I
That's
see.
why I
You
let
were.
Greg go first.
I'm getting to understand your playbook. All right, thank you guys. So the negotiation committee or employee negotiation, and I'm going to play a couch here. I'm going to let him go first.
Okay, well, we did not meet, so nothing to report at this time.
All right, thank you. McKinleyville Municipal Advisory Committee. You're on mute, buddy.
No.
Now you're on. Now we can't hear you. Can anybody hear him?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so we met on January 27th, and we had an update by the fire department for the last year, the number of calls that they've done, and of course the overwhelming number of calls were for had nothing to do with fires and were more public assistance and also medical emergency calls. McKinleyville, of course, is bringing up responsible for their fair share of calls for the Arcata Fire Department. We had election of officers, the McNack election of officers, and basically the same officers are all holding their position again for this year. So it'll be the second year that all the officers are, except for, I believe, the secretary is changing, and I'll let Pat cover that when I get done. The Seroptimus came and wanted us to make a proclamation for International Women's Day, and so we are going to send a letter to the Board of Supervisors and support them supporting the International Women's Day. We had a fine presentation from the Parks and Rec Department and from Charlie Caldwell and Jason Orlandi about the BMX track that will be that has the potential to be sited on our Washington property at the intersection of Washington and School Road. Very informative. We had a town center. We went over a memorandum that Michael Richardson put together on the town center, and basically getting pretty close to having a draft ordinance to review and then make a recommendation to send that to the planning commission and to the board of supervisors for acceptance. Pat gave a fine update on the latent powers as they relate to our support of the McMack. And then he also, we tendered the applications for our community McMack member to be on the MCSD Community Forest meeting, or our Community Forest Committee member. And with that, I'll go ahead and let Pat take up the slack.
No, I think he did a great job. I think they were joking about having Kevin Dreyer take over as secretary instead of Bonnie Oliver, but I don't think they really passed that. But I think he did a great job summarizing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we are keeping the same secretary. Bonnie's still going to be the secretary. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I sat in on that meeting, and I didn't remember you hit it all, Craig. I did a good job. So thank you. Let's see here. Humboldt Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO. Director Couch, you have anything to report on that?
No, we only meet every other month, so we'll have a meeting later this month and I'll have a report next time.
All right, thank you. Ad hoc committee, community forest meeting, Mayo and Orsini, and for some reason I got in on the very tail end of that meeting. So if Greg would like to, or Pat would like to give a little synopsis of it.
Yes, I think the primary conversation was, and I think that Leslie and James and Pat can chime in also, that because of the timing for the grant, it's going to have a serious impact on when the property is going to change hands. And so I think that we are in a much better position related to timing and putting together the committee than we might have thought, because of just the potential for this not to happen in the near future. So that was the vast majority of what we talked about, and did discuss our strategy for tendering applications from the community related to community members and then also professionals that would have a nexus to forest management.
Very good. Yeah. Pat, did you care to add anything to that?
No, I think the only other thing that came out of that is Director Frisbee did put together a bullet list for public talking points that I think she sent around to all the directors. She definitely sent it around to the Community Forest Committee directors. Did you send, Leslie, did you send that around to everybody?
It is in my board report. So I sent it to all the board members by email. Sorry. But it was my board report, and it was talked about at the Park and Recreation Committee. So Joellen and Director Clark Peterson and Director Binder got them at that time. So I guess Director Couch is the only one left out of the loop at this point. Sorry.
Okay.
That's okay. That's good. Okay, Director Couch, because I read it so long ago, I forgot what was on it. So.
Hey, until Director Couch starts doing a little more heavy lifting, I'm not sure that he's to get the extra memos. Anyway, thank you, Leslie. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on to
Legislative reports?
no, the Environmental Matters Committee.
Oh.
Oh, well, you skipped us, but I was glad you did, because we had nothing to report. So.
Okay. And sorry about that, you guys.
Okay.
And Latent Powers Committee.
Well, we had our thing we voted on earlier.
Yep.
And we will have more in the future.
All right, very good. How about legislative and regulatory reports?
Can I back up for 1 minute on the
Yes.
on the ad hoc committee for latent powers? Is and this is a question for GM Kaspari. Are we planning on meeting again on that, or could we dissolve that ad hoc committee, or do you have use for us?
I would appreciate if you didn't dissolve it yet. So we are going to be, like next month, I think we'll probably bring the Micmac stuff back.
Okay.
And I'd like to be able to write that up and get it to you guys for your review before it goes to the entire board, if that's okay. I don't know.
If you'd like us to stay on until we get done with all the resolutions for the ordinance, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and it can be dissolved whenever the GM figures we're done. And
Okay.
so, okay, thank you. How about legislative and regulatory reports? My only thing I was going to bring up, the GM brought it up. So anybody else? Seeing nobody. Let's do our staff reports. Support Services Department, Colleen Trask.
There we are. Okay. The only thing I would like to emphasize in my report is to just give the board a heads up that for the current fiscal year, 2021, the Parks Department program revenues were based originally in the budget on the estimation that the pandemic restrictions that were curtailing all our recreation programs would be lifted during this fiscal year. The governor has not lifted those restrictions and in some cases has increased them. So this circumstance will result in a budget line difference greater than 10% for program revenues, which will require a formal budget modification. We expect to bring that to the May meeting. So that's all I have nothing further to add to my report, but I just wanted to give everybody the heads up on that one.
Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So I appreciate that, Colleen, that we're going to have a May revise related to the Parks and Rec program revenues. How about where do we stand related to the water rates, and and what's your take on where we're going to be related to our revenues with people not being, that we don't have to lock, or that we're not allowed to lock people in our rates? Where are we kind of at on that?
Actually, Dave is compiling a list of the there's actually relatively few people that are not paying. Most of them are at least attempting to make some payment, because we've continued, the staff has continued to send out door hangers, make phone calls. They've really put a lot into collecting those revenues. So we're in pretty decent shape. I don't believe that we will have enough of a shortfall to be either over 10% on the budget line for other expenditures or under 10% on the revenues for that. It's not going to be that big, for which I am deeply grateful to our staff. They are amazing and awesome.
Well, that's
but
great.
I will bring back a more detailed report specifically for you guys next month, just on the total dollar amounts and the percentage of the detailed line, and then how much that actually is compared to the budget line that was passed. It's not going to be 10% for the overall budget. lines, so we won't need a major revise for that. But it's something the board has been interested in, and we continue to be interested in because it's a kind of a big deal. The other thing that may or may not, I don't think this will be an issue, is the grant revenues. If grant revenues for any given year, not just this year, if we aren't able to bill for the grant revenues that we expect in a given year, or if that goes more than 10% over, then the board will be able to get a May revise to be able to keep track of that as well. I don't think that's going to be a problem this year, but it's there. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Colleen.
All righty. So let's go on to Operations Department, James Henry.
I have nothing to add.
Thank you, James. Park and Recreation Department, Leslie, do you have any additions?
I don't have any additions. I can review those bullet points if you'd like. Although I guess you all have them typed in front of you if you are reading my report.
Has everyone seen the bullet points and have them? Then unless somebody asks for it, I think that'd be fine.
Okay, then no, I have nothing further to add at this time.
Thank you. General Manager, would you care to give us your report?
I would like to read through my report. No, just kidding. I have nothing further to add. We are still trying to, figure out if there's additional grant funding for the 4.5 million gallon tank and the sewer crossings. We haven't heard back from Cal OES on that yet. So I'll report back to the board when we do. But other than that, I have nothing further to add. Thank you so much.
I have nothing additional to report. Any board member have any comments, announcement, reports, or agenda item requests? And Director Clark Peterson, you've already made that one request, which is noted. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, excuse me. Supervisor Madrone is on the line and has been here with us the whole meeting. And I'd like to ask Supervisor Madrone if he would like to make some comments before we close tonight.
Thank you, President Mayo. I just have one brief comment, and that is to thank the board and the staff for the very low value leases you give us at the county for the Sheriff's Department and the library. It's an excellent partnership, and we very much value your assistance with that. So I'm just going to keep it short and see you all next time.
All right, thank you for that. I know our staff and actually everybody at the district cares tremendously about our bottom line and how we present ourselves. So, all right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Good night, all.